The hills above Los Angeles were ablaze. A crimson tide of fire swept through the landscape. It was January 2025, and the City of Angels was in a desperate battle. The air was thick with smoke, carrying frantic cries and shouts. Homes and dreams were reduced to ash. The ferocity of this blaze was unprecedented. The scale of the destruction was immense. Over 10,000 acres were consumed. Generational homes were reduced to rubble. Beloved parks were scarred and blackened. The human cost was heart-wrenching. Lives were lost and many were displaced. The city faced a long road to recovery. Southern California has always walked a precarious line with wildfire. The region's unique geography and climate create a tinderbox just waiting for a spark. One of the most significant factors contributing to the January 2025 fires was the relentless Santa Ana winds. These powerful dry winds, originating in the Great Basin and Mojave Desert, descend from the mountains towards the coast, gaining speed and ferocity as they funnel through canyons and valleys. The winds act like a giant bellows, pushing flames across the landscape with terrifying speed, turning small brush fires into raging infernos within hours. Adding to the volatile mix was a prolonged drought that had left the region parched and vulnerable. Vegetation, starved of moisture, became highly flammable fuel for the firestorm. The dry conditions allowed the flames to spread rapidly, jumping from treetop to treetop, consuming everything in their path. The combination of these natural forces created the perfect storm for catastrophic wildfires. The winds carried embers, tiny sparks of fire, miles ahead of the main fire front, igniting new spot fires and making containment a near impossible task for firefighters. The terrain, steep and rugged in many areas, further hampered their efforts, making access difficult and firefighting extremely dangerous. While the Santa Ana winds and dry conditions are part of Southern California's natural rhythm, the intensity and frequency of these events are increasing, a trend scientists link to climate change. The planet's warming temperatures are contributing to prolonged droughts, creating drier landscapes that are more susceptible to ignition. The warmer air also holds more moisture, leading to more intense downpours when rain does occur. This creates a dangerous cycle where heavy rains promote vegetation growth, followed by extended periods of drought that turn the lush growth into highly combustible fuel. Climate change is also impacting the timing and behavior of the Santa Ana winds. Studies suggest that these powerful wind events are occurring more frequently and with greater intensity, exacerbating fire conditions. The warmer temperatures create a steeper temperature gradient between the high desert and the coast, fueling stronger winds. These intensified Santa Ana winds, coupled with the tinder-dry conditions, are turning what were once manageable brush fires into unstoppable infernos, pushing the limits of firefighting capabilities and threatening lives and property on an unprecedented scale. Section 4: The human element, arson, negligence, and the spark. While natural factors played a significant role in the 2025 Los Angeles wildfires, the question of human involvement looms large. Authorities are investigating several potential causes, including arson, which has plagued the region in the past. The deliberate setting of fires is a serious crime with devastating consequences, and investigators are following leads and examining evidence to determine if any of the fires were intentionally set. The steep terrain and limited access to some areas make investigating arson cases challenging, but authorities are determined to hold those responsible accountable. Beyond arson, investigators are also looking into the possibility of negligence, particularly concerning power lines and utility equipment. Aging infrastructure, coupled with high winds, can lead to downed power lines and sparking equipment, igniting dry vegetation and sparking fires. As climate change exacerbates fire conditions, the need for updated and resilient infrastructure becomes even more crucial. Additionally, human activities, such as campfires, discarded cigarettes, and even fireworks, can spark wildfires, highlighting the need for increased public awareness and responsible behavior in fire-prone areas. Section 5: Were we prepared? Los Angeles faces the firestorm. The 2025 wildfires raised serious questions about Los Angeles's preparedness for such a catastrophic event. While the city has a long history of dealing with wildfires, the scale and intensity of these fires tested the limits of its resources and emergency response systems. Critics argued that the city's water infrastructure was inadequate to handle a fire of this magnitude. Water shortages hampered firefighting efforts, and the lack of adequate water pressure in some areas hindered the effectiveness of fire hydrants. The fires exposed vulnerabilities in the city's ability to provide essential services during a major disaster. Resource allocation and emergency response coordination also came under scrutiny. The speed and ferocity of the fires overwhelmed initial firefighting efforts, and some residents complained of delays in evacuation orders and a lack of clear communication from authorities. The disaster highlighted the need for improved coordination between different agencies, including fire departments, law enforcement, and emergency services. As the city rebuilds, it must address these shortcomings and strengthen its disaster preparedness to better protect its citizens from future wildfire threats. Section 6. Scars on the City. Counting the Costs, Rebuilding Lives. The scars left by the 2025 wildfires run deep, impacting every facet of life in Los Angeles. The financial toll is staggering, with billions of dollars in property damage, lost business revenue, and firefighting costs. Insurance claims soared as homeowners and businesses grappled with the devastating losses. The fires also dealt a blow to the city's tourism industry, a vital economic engine, as visitors stayed away, deterred by the images of destruction and the lingering smoke that hung in the air. Beyond the economic impact, the fires exacted a heavy cultural toll. Historic landmarks and cultural institutions were damaged or destroyed, erasing pieces of the city's heritage. The Getty Center, a world-renowned art museum, narrowly escaped the flames, but the Getty Villa, housing a collection of ancient Greek and Roman art, suffered significant damage. The loss of these cultural treasures is immeasurable, impacting not only Los Angeles but the world's artistic heritage. The fires also left an indelible mark on the communities they ravaged, displacing families, disrupting lives, and leaving behind a sense of loss and uncertainty. Section 7. The ashes settle, the questions remain. As the smoke cleared and the flames died down, Los Angeles began the long and arduous task of rebuilding. The 2025 wildfires were a stark reminder of the city's vulnerability to this ever-present threat. While the debate over the exact causes of the fires will continue, one thing is clear: climate change is exacerbating fire conditions, making events like this more likely in the future. The city must adapt to this new reality, investing in fire-resistant building materials, strengthening its water infrastructure, and implementing stricter building codes in fire-prone areas. The fires also highlighted the need for greater public awareness and individual responsibility. Homeowners must take steps to create defensible space around their properties, clearing brush and vegetation to reduce fuel loads. Communities must work together to develop emergency plans and ensure residents are educated about fire safety and evacuation procedures. The road to recovery will be long and challenging, but the resilience of Angelenos, their determination to rebuild their lives and their city, shines through the ashes. As the city heals, it must learn from this experience, adapting to the realities of a changing climate and working together to prevent such tragedies in the future.